Day 336 off the grid, and today I did a bit of solar, but not before doing a bit of gay lawning. As you can see out the window there, the lawns are lovely and mowed, and Amon's little meadow planter box there has been moved to a slightly new location because he kindly moved it for me while I did the job. And then I actually did some solar work after gay lawning. I normally do the solar stuff first, but this, I reckon, is probably the last major solar works I'll be doing before the summer solstice. I've got to really knuckle down and do the music stuff now and not get so distracted with solar stuff. But you know, as Just In Case says, it is addictive. But there was one thing I really had to sort out though as soon as possible. You know, really, I probably should have done this a month ago, and that is to tame the Morningstar for the situation that I have here now. And as I pointed out on my previous video, these golf cart batteries, what are they called? L12s, is it? L12s? I don't know. Golf cart batteries, 6-volt batteries, 4 of them, are running off this, and I'm running them higher than what one usually would. I'm running them actually at 15 volts, or up to 15 volts. And the way I've been able to do that is to trick the Morningstar controller using this diode here to shift the ground reference. So the Morningstar, when Morningstar thinks it's reaching 14.4 volts, the batteries are actually seeing 15 because the Morningstar is like sitting 0.6 volts above ground. Okay, pretty simple. You can do that with a lot of different controllers, because where you put the diode will depend on whether it's a positive or negative grounding controller. But anyway, not going into that. There was a slight issue though, and that's that I was just using up too much water in my batteries. They were just gassing away too long, and I thought about getting those hydro caps and all that kind of thing, but then I thought, well, you know, why don't I just take it up to 15 volts for a while and then just let it sort of drop back to more conventional voltages after a couple of hours. That'll cut down my water loss significantly, and I can tolerate that, and then I probably won't have to spend an arm and a leg on all these caps. So I come up with a few different ways of doing it, and I really actually want to do the permanent version of it with an Arduino, and I've got an idea of how I want to do it, because I want it to monitor the voltage and keep the battery in that higher voltage state for a certain amount of time before dropping it down. But that would take development, and I have figured out a way, at least in my head, of doing it completely with linear electronics, the stuff that I kind of know. But if I did that, I would be doing an extensive project, and then I'd sort of cheat myself out of the opportunity to dive into the Arduino, because I've been really wanting to do that, but I just haven't found an opportunity, and I think this project here is a good one. But, however, I needed to do something about this now, and I didn't want to fuck around, so I've just installed this simple time switch here that Baffy got me for my birthday. So, you know, I'm finally using it, and it's sort of, I did get her to get it for me with the intention of use in somewhere. It was part of the system, of course, and now it is, if not permanently, well, at least for a time. But this gives me breathing space. It gives me time to work on the Arduino thing at my leisure, rather than a forced, you must get this project done. So all this is it simply got the switching contacts, which have come out on these blue terminals here, which these blue little spades were what I was actually given with the switch, and they are just simply wired across the diode up here. So all that simply happens, of course, is when the time switch activates, the diode is shorted out, so the Morningstar returns to its normal ground reference. And then when the time switch turns off, the diode is back in circuit, and the Morningstar operates on that higher level. So basically that's all. I've programmed it to do the switch over at the moment at midday, 12 PM, and to switch the diode back in at 5:30 at night, so that I get a little bit of extra boost charge at the end of the day kind of thing. There are a few drawbacks with this method of just using this time switch. There's no intelligence to it, so it's going to switch between these two levels regardless of what's happening to the actual state of charge of the battery, and regardless of what's happening with the weather conditions. Now, when I finally develop the Arduino version, that will address those issues, but after a lot of contemplation, I've realised that those issues probably aren't major ones anyway. Like, the worst situation for this, of course, really is that it'll switch the diode out, short the diode out on a reasonably cloudy day, where if it had left the diode in circuit, the batteries might just get a little bit more charge. But then on a really cloudy day, it doesn't matter, because whether the diode's in or out, they'll never even reach the original regulation point anyway. So, there's lots of situations where it doesn't really matter if the time is switched, but the main reason why it's here is there's one particular situation where it looks after the batteries, and that is when you get those really sunny days, which you tend to get a lot of in summer. Although, to be honest, we haven't seen that many in the last week, but up until then it was awesome, and I expect it'll be awesome again, at least in the Lunasa time. And these batteries will be charged up to 15 volts easily by 12, and usually by about 10 AM. So by switching it off at 12, it'll just go down to that lower voltage, and it just won't, boil the batteries so hard. It'll just boil them softly, because these Morningstars never go into a float charge at all. They only have bulk charge and regulate. So that's what this time is going to do. I mean, over time I have done a lot of kind of taming the Morningstar projects. It has to be said, yes, I've had the Morningstar on the gel cell batteries originally. I had all this other Hanamana hanging off here, which you've seen. That was to tame the Morningstar for the gels, and then I thought, well, it'd be a good use for it, because I want to hit these batteries hard with this 15 volt charge. But I found that, yeah, that was fine. That was fine in sort of the midwinter, sort of in bulk time through into the spring. That was all good. That worked really, really well. It's just that now that we're coming past the high spring and we're getting close to the summer solstice, we're just getting a little bit too much charge that way. So the time switch will take care of that. And of course I can change the times and stuff that it does, of course, depending on the season too. So towards autumn I might let it go a little bit longer before it switches out. In winter I might just shut it off altogether, Or if it's a cloudy day, I can always walk out here and override it manually and just leave the diode in all day, so it gets the maximum charge it could possibly get. So, it's fairly flexible. But the coolest thing is that it was just quick to install, just wired in a timer, and that was it, really. That was all it was. Like anything you think is going to be easy, there are always issues that you find, like these spades here. When they're shoved into the terminals, this doesn't sit flush on the panel, so I actually had to put a couple of spacers on the screws. And of course, screwing things in with spacers on the back of them and trying not to drop the spacer or drop the screw does become a bit of a cunt. But, that's alright. And also, interestingly, although this timer was sold as a 12 volt DC model, when it arrived, it turned out to be 230 volts AC. So, indeed, this is a 230 volt AC feed that I've arranged to run the timer. Actually, shall I show that? Yeah, I might as well show that. Here it is. Good old school Kiwi tap-on plug PDL. They're really great plugs to wire, and of course handy plugs to use because they've got a socket on the back. So therefore I was able to bung it into this inverter over here and still have that outlet available, because this spare outlet here I use when I'm running sort of stuff in the shed, like if I want to plug an electric drill or a soldering iron or a trouble lamp. But of course I don't need to do that so much anymore now that I've got my bulb up here. But yeah, so tap on plug there, and it just runs on that white wire, comes out over here and powers the timer. I suppose I could have opened it up and had a look at the wiring and rewired it for 12 volts DC, but I didn't want to mess around with it that much. So it is what it is, and it is how it is, and it's, well, I can't honestly say is it working well, because in the next few days I'll find out this. I have done a test run, of course, and checked that all the wiring's fine, and when you activate the timer the diode is indeed shorted out and all that. So we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it goes. Who knows, it might even work so well that I don't get a chance to throw an Arduino at this, but I'm thinking the Arduino thing would be really cool, because the advantage of that would be I would not have to attend this whatsoever. It would be completely automatic then. I wouldn't even have to change it in different seasons. So I think that's enough ranting about what I did today. But yeah, you know, it was pretty much, I'd say, the last major solar thing I'll do. I mean, of course, I'm going to fiddle around with little bits and pieces, but this will be the last major sort of adjustment to the system before the summer solstice. So there we go, day 336.